Hi, my name's Laura Riffle, and I just wanted to introduce myself before you begin this seminar. I just wanted you to know that I didn't just make all this stuff up. I actually have been working with children since the early 1970s. In the early 70s, I started working at the School for the Blind, which was a residential center, and I fell in love with students with disabilities, and I fell in love with children. And so I started working at the public school sector, and I've taught over the years every single grade, pre-K through 12th grade. I have taught general education, special education, incarcerated students. I pretty much have tried everything I could possibly get my hands on. After I finished working with public schools, I moved to the university level, was to work for the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education Programs, and I ran a website called pbis.org that stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. I ran that website from 1999 to 2012. I retired from running that in 2012. While I was running that website, I took a position in Georgia for the State Department, and I was director of a statewide program called the Behavioral Intervention Program. If you had a child anywhere in the state birth to 23, you could contact us, and for free, one of our 5 behavior therapists would come to your location. We would help you figure out why the student was swinging from the chandeliers, and we would stay with you until we had at least an 80% reduction from baseline in that baseline behavior. And so we did functional behavior assessment, right, intervention plans, we did behavior support team planning, things like that. While my staff were out doing that, I ran a day clinic in the same center, and I hired a teacher and a para from the district sending the student in. We stabilized the student, trained the staff. Once the staff were trained and the student was stable, we moved them in a slow transition back to their home school. Once the child was restabilized, we reverse integrated a class around this highly trained team and this very stable child, and we were very successful at doing that. In 2005, I retired and moved back to my home state of Kansas, where I now reside. And for the last 15 years, I have been traveling the world doing seminars about 200 days a year and strategies, individual therapies on functional behavior assessment. I run 6-month classes teaching people how to do a good functional behavior assessment. I have a free tool that graphs antecedent behavior consequence data, and I answer about 200 or so emails a week. People writing, what do you do about a student who has XYZ behavior? And I try to help people. And it's not that I have all the answers, because I don't. But sometimes when you're not the recipient of someone spitting on you or kicking you or hitting you or calling you a name, it's easier to brainstorm and come up with ideas and interventions to try. So I love the challenge of figuring out what it is that the student is communicating by having the behavior that you're witnessing. So I enjoy that challenge. So I want to tell you a little bit about this seminar, Tier 2 seminar strategy, and it is a repository of ideas. So we'll take different behaviors like apathy, anxiety, bullying, disorganization, non-compliance, and I'm going to show you how to pull interventions that could possibly ameliorate the behavior for that particular student. The caveat that I want to throw out to start is there's no one behavior intervention that works 100% of the time on 100% of the students. However, there are hundreds of behavioral interventions that can be pulled in for different strategies for different behaviors that you are hoping to take care of. And so you may hear some strategies more than once. That's okay, because just like when we teach our students, we know that sometimes students need to hear things 2 or 3 times. It becomes set to stone and memory. So that's all right. So I might be talking about anxiety and tell you about a strategy. and it's going to sound pretty good for anxiety. But then later on, I might be talking about noncompliance, and I use the same strategy, but I tweak it in just a little bit different way. So you will hear strategies over again, not over and over again, but you will see some common themes that will pop up and come back from time to time. Now, this is in a whole bunch of short sessions so that you can stop, take breaks, talk amongst yourselves if you're in a small group, or reflect if you're by yourself. I hope that you enjoy this. My email is caughtyoubeinggood, all spelled out correctly, caughtyoubeinggood at gmail.com. You can contact me there. At the end of this session, email questions. We also, if you have a small group, we could do a Zoom meeting or a Skype meeting. I prefer Zoom, but Skype works as well. So feel free to contact me if you are interested in doing that and you have some questions, or just email me. And I do try to always answer all emails within 24 hours. Thanks so much for joining us on this seminar quest.